Welcome back to Champ Talk, guys. We are super excited to have you every week. We thank you so much for listening and watching and sharing and doing all the things that you do. It does not go unrecognized. I'm all about growth and all about getting our message and what we talk about and the people I interview and all these good stuff out to you guys so that you guys can just get more value and have others get more value. With that being said, I ask this at every episode. I'll ask it again. Please, if you get value out of this episode, like and subscribe to any platform. And hit the oh shoot, I had a brain fart. What is it called? The comment section. All right, hit the comment section and also leave us a review if you feel so kind. I know I ask this stuff, I panhandle this stuff, I beg on the street for it, but it's very important. See, we need to get Champ Talk out to as many people as possible and get recognized in the algorithm so that we can make sure that our message gets heard. I don't take any sponsorship money from this. I pay for this myself. This is something I'm passionate about, something that I love doing. And I love having conversations. So again, if you guys feel so kindly, please share this episode and get it out there. For some reason, that's like the hardest part for me always is like the beginning. You know what I mean? It's like I always got to get that little weird disclaimer out. Maybe I should just pre-record it. Let your little script. Facts, you know what I mean? Today, I got a wonderful guest of mine. I've met her a couple years ago. She has impressed me each and every time that we get the chance to kind of have a conversation. And the things that she does in the community and her perspectives and things like that. We always have great conversations and pick each other's brains and kind of get each other thinking. And she does a lot of things now. She has her master's in behavioral science, and she just helps out with youth and little kids and helps get them on the right track and stuff like that. She says that she's potentially maybe will go after her doctor, but looking more for having certifications and things that just add to the wealth of knowledge this young lady possesses. She also does a lot of stuff for the community. You know what I mean? She's a part of the Mizzle House Foundation, which is my cousin, and CMAX Foundation, which they're doing all kinds of things for the community, for neighborhoods and things like that, and a ton of other accolades that I'm gonna let her talk about. But I welcome Shanza Ghazanffer on the show.
That is me.
And
Thank you.
I said it right?
Yep. Thank you.
Let's go. So Shanza's also, you're also a member of SBY MMA.
Yes.
And that's how we met, you know what I mean? Which was, which was pretty cool. You just come in, you were like, hey, just trying to do this.
I came in, I feel like I tell this story to everyone who comes in, because my first week, Branden threw me right in the cage, right? He fed me to the sharks. And the first week, I don't know, I've never seen this lady ever again. We were in the cage and we were just going at it, and she was throwing these leg kicks for days. And I had a whole bruise on the back of my left thigh. But then you seen it and you were like, you're back in here? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm ready to get like my lick back. And you're like, oh yeah, she's definitely ready for this, because after that bruise, I came back, definitely have some type of crazy in me. If I even after that bruise, I didn't leave. I came back asking for more, and it's been 2 to 3 years since then. And now I've been taking his jiu-jitsu class on Fridays, and it's been great so far.
You've been finding a lot of empowerment through this.
Yeah.
I know my haters are going to hear this. Like, I told you, he just let new people get killed. Now it was a controlled environment,
it was controlled experiment.
But she was definitely laying them leg kicks on you.
Yeah, it was. But it was good to know that like I want to be able to do that to somebody else.
Yep.
So I was like, for her, I never had like the mobility to like even have my leg turn that way, and now my leg kicks are pretty decent. So like thank you for like that improvement, and for being able to come in here and just put the work in. Well, thank you for that space.
Well, thank you for believing in our company and our culture and things like that, because you have to have a buy-in to be here for that long. You know what I mean? So you've stuck it out. You've been busy as hell. You've been doing so many things, and you still come here and train. So
to give you some background, so I graduated 2018 from Washington High. My parents live in Prentice Ann, still live in Prentice Ann. We raise chickens. We grow for Mountain Air. I have my undergrad from SU in psychology, and I have my master's in ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis, from Walden University. I actually go to Texas next week to walk stage for graduation. So.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So when you guys hear this, she had already walked and would be graduating, because we're about 2 weeks out.
Yep.
But that's super impressive. Shanza, you've always impressed me with just the way that you like tackle life, you know what I mean? And the way that you go about it. I mean, when I met you, I think you were potentially working with, or correct me if I'm wrong, or you were like interning at the college or the hospital or something like that. Where you have some sort of like.
I was a CNA, so I had my certified nursing assistant license through Washington. They have like the tech program, so I received my license through there, and I worked as a CNA for 2 years, 2018 to 2020. COVID times were crazy. Like when we had so many staff who were pregnant. And we're having patients come in with like similar symptoms. We're like, hey, is like something going on? They're like, no, don't worry about it. Just regular gloves. That's it. But then come to find out all those patients had COVID. And then for me, me taking COVID home, my dad's like, he's older. He has like his own health issues. Same with my parents, but like my mom, but he also works on the farm.
Yeah.
If he were sick, that means nobody's like covering the farm. And if nobody's covering the farm, every bird is how we get paid. Per pound is how we get paid. So if he's not on the farm, birds are dying, we lose money.
Yeah.
So when I got COVID 3 times, every single time I got COVID, I had to book a hotel room just to make sure that like my siblings didn't get it and my parents didn't get it. Because I knew if my dad were to catch it, that would have been like really, really serious. But COVID itself, I feel like was so detrimental to even kids. Because talking to some of, they're like older now, like cousins and stuff like that. Like COVID really affected like that period, 2018 to 2020. I feel like now when people talk about kids, like they don't know anything and stuff like that, I think back to how did COVID affect them? Because for a large portion of the time, everything was virtual. Everything was on the phone. Everything was on the tablets. And now everything is on like the tablets, TikTok and all that. So like, was it like forced upon them because of COVID? And now that's just how like COVID altered everything.
Yeah. So
now is that just how life's become? Because ever since COVID, what's streaming? Streamer University, everybody's on Twitch and everything. Everything is virtual nowadays. Even QR, I go to a restaurant, I can't even get a physical menu anymore. I have to scan a QR code.
Correct.
Which I feel like is unfortunate for like the elderly folks because not everybody has access to phones. Not everybody knows how to operate a phone. The other day, I'm trying to get a coffee. I guess her granddaughter loaded her credit card onto her phone. And she's like, sweetie, I don't know. She told me to double tap something, Face ID. She said my debit card is on my phone. And she didn't have anything else other than her phone. And she didn't know how to pay for her coffee. All she got was $1 coffee. It was simple. But I feel like COVID changed a lot. And now we're just forced to adapt due to that.
You know, that's so interesting that you say that because coming from your background, you know what I mean? That's a little tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which now after Dr. Fauci's quote unquote testimony, I mean, is it really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the billions and billions of dollars that these streaming platforms and, you know, all of the technology that we have are making now post-COVID. And, you know, and one thing that hit me that was interesting was, you know, we all talk about like our own version of COVID, right? Well, most of us talk about COVID, about how, you know, it was bullshit. It was real. You know, if you weren't in the ER, don't say nothing about Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci is the, you know, Antichrist, you know, like there's all of these, you know, so many different far away, you know, perspectives and everybody wants to fight. But, you know, hearing a story like yours, right, which is like a really practical story. Yeah. Like you, if you'd went home.
And if my dad were to catch COVID, that would.
Family's business would have been, you know, gone at the very probably least. You know, if not worse. So it's interesting to hear that because so many people forget to kind of put themselves in other people's shoes that actually had issues with COVID, right? Because there was people that, look, here's what we know. We know that COVID was a thing.
Yep.
We know that people died from COVID. We also know that people lied about COVID. Yep. We also know that people scammed about COVID. Yep. And we also know that the response to COVID was the worst response that could have ever happened. Yep. You know what I mean? And it quickly turned political. It quickly turned about, you know, who was going to save face. And, you know, again, you know, I completely agree with you. The kids suffered the most. You know what I mean? The kids were really suffering and where they turned to. I mean, people talk, I think this generation personally, I think, you know, you're a Gen Z, right?
Millennial.
Millennial. Yeah. I think the late millennials and Gen Zers are cooked. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
I think they're cooked. I really do. I think that it's going to take a lot for that generation, if it ever happens, to, you know, bounce back. And I think it's going to take a lot of leadership, both from the early millennials like myself. I was born on the day millennials became a thing. Yeah. And I think the Gen Alphas. Yeah. I think the Gen Alphas really do have a lot more that's going to be, I think they're going to be the ones that we're going to hear history books being written about and things like that.
And I feel like that's also due to TikTok, or just like how accessible information has 100%. Now become. And that's, I see the pros and cons, because of course it is like people say, like your feed is basically what you want it to be. So your feed can only be one side and you're completely missing the complete other side, which I do agree that like the internet itself, you're able to see both sides, but if you're only seeing like the red side, you won't ever see like the blue side. You know what I mean? If you're only presented the red, you don't ever know the blue. And I feel like that's the same thing with like the whole nature and nurture debate. Like the environment that you grow up in is eventually what you become, up until you flee that environment, and then you see that you can become other things, which I feel like is true when people say that like, oh, don't ever get stuck on the shore. I'm pretty sure you've heard of that. Like if you live in Salisbury, get out of Salisbury. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in Salisbury. And for me personally, seeing Salisbury expand, have you been seeing like all these new apartment complexes come up, like going down like Snow Hill Road, that new roundabout? Salisbury's about to have over 100,000 new people, I feel like, within the next 2 years. Yeah,
well, we're still behind on the housing shortage. And what happens is that what really, and again, this is another byproduct of COVID, when the supply chain went down and when people started, jacking the price up on lumber and on all kinds of supplies, that put a hold on new construction. And actually, fun fact, really, it started with the Depression, not Depression, excuse me. English is hard for me today, so I've been struggling. What did we have in 08 and 09? It wasn't the Depression.
Just the stock market, right?
Yeah, and the housing crisis. The early housing crisis, right? So what happened was people were basically stopped building houses for like a year or 2 years. Might have been long. We're now seeing almost 20 years later the residuals of that. You know what I mean?
That's actually when we moved to this side of the shore. We lived in Dundalk, but we moved to this side of the shore in 08.
Bro, you're from Dundalk?
Yeah.
Now it all makes sense. Now it all makes sense.
Yes, we used to live in Dundalk before.
Yeah, Dundalk's tough. Dundalk's rough.
I know.
Yeah,
when we
rough.
visited after we moved out, like that whole building had like graffiti and everything. There was like even like half our building was like burned down. It was like half of it. So yes, I am from Dundalk.
Dundalk is like and people might want to fight me. I'm not shitting on them because I got some friends from Dundalk. Dundalk's like Shameless, that show on. Yeah, Dundalk's like really like Shameless. Yeah, so you went from worse to not very much better.
Yeah, exactly. But then, like,
Salisbury's not very much better.
Straight, all we had was woods. At least we were able to see the stars at night. But like from like Dundalk to like growing up to like the farm, completely different change. But like people still had to eat meat, so that's why we chose chickens. That's like the one thing people still have to eat. But yeah, like that whole construction, I do agree on like that construction, like the housing crisis and everything.
Yeah, so that's what we're seeing that, and now it's slowly it's like pockets. It's starting to pop back up where people can build again at an affordable price. But it was, quote unquote, but it was needing to catch up and things like that. And I mean, we're going to see some townhouses. We're going to see some we're some new construction. I mean, I think that we're going to get a boom. The biggest thing about the shore, Shanza, that we struggle with here is we don't have a reason for people to come here, right? We don't have jobs.
Yep, it's usually Ocean City is like the main attraction, and then it's only vacation, summertime, right? And then of course they have their seasonal changes, and the Ocean City's dead. Yep.
What we have here is we have the hospital that brings in people, and I mean that's about the college and the hospital. The colleges and the hospitals are what brings in people, but really, man, that's about it. You know what I mean? You have a big service industry area, a big real estate area. You know what I mean? You have construction.
We have a huge water. Don't we build shipbuilding?
We have the shipbuilding, but I wouldn't say huge. I think it could be bigger. Yeah, I think it's big, but I wouldn't say huge. It's not enough to bring hundreds of thousands of people in yet.
Yes.
And I do hope that happens. That's why I'm a big proprietor of small businesses, because I think small businesses can really open up so much opportunity. But Maryland is not the most small business friendly state. You know what I mean? And it makes it very difficult for small business owners like myself. When we're getting constantly taxed to death, and you're constantly taxing the consumer to death. And I had an argument with a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, he's like, man, well, gas is high, the war's going on, people just don't have money. I'm like, yeah, I understand all that, but people are still spending money. That's why your bars and your clubs are still filled. Yep. You know what I mean? I went to Secrets this past weekend. Still filled. Yep. Cruise ships, still filled. Yep. Somebody said, well, we've been paid that we pay for that well in advance in about a year's time. Last year the economy was just as fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
People are still going to spend money regardless of
They
what.
are. Yeah.
And no matter how many gas prices or how high they go, people are still going to travel. People are still going to take their vacations.
100%. You have to be able to, as a sales in any kind of genre, you have to be able to create the need for them to spend money with you.
Yep.
And I think that's where a lot of business owners, salespeople, managers fall flat. It's because they don't, exercise that option enough and really make that known via social media. But back to the social media thing and TikTok, I agree. I see the pluses and negatives with it, but I also see the detriment to it.
And how like the attention span is only 60 seconds. What will we have a video? You either got me for 60 seconds or you don't. If
60
you don't,
is speaking to a millennial.
Yeah, it's either 10 seconds. If like the first part, if the first sentence doesn't attract me, that's it. On to the next. And I feel like that shows into school. It translates into college or like. These kids, I work with 4-year-olds, and half these kids can't even sit down for 5 minutes to do an activity because they're just on to the next. They want what's next, and that's it. What's next? What's next? What's next? And I feel like that also, I work with kids who have autism, but that also translates because, fortunately for my kid, all that he wants is like the iPad. All he wants is YouTube. Yeah. And even for them, he just watches like a specific 10-second clip of the YouTube video. He just rewinds. Like he's autistic. He just rewinds like that one 10-second clip, but me telling him, hey, it's time to do work, time to get off this task. Like first do this, then the iPad. It's a tantrum, a fight. It's a whole issue. And I feel like that also, not just with kids with autism, any other kid. Yeah. It's you have a boy. Is it a fight for getting him to do something? Not that he wants, something that you want. Is it a fight?
Well, depends on what it is because he's a toddler. But as far as, I'll tell you this, as far as screens, he doesn't get them.
He didn't get screens? Okay.
So we have a tablet for him. Okay. The tablet only gets used when we go on flights or long travel trips in the car. Boundaries. He does not get the tablet at all. He does not get to use the phone at all. He may watch videos with his mother, which are videos that she's taken. So he gets to watch himself and watch things like that.
But not like YouTube, but like not like stuff like that.
Absolutely no YouTube.
And I feel like that is great because I am 100%, it all starts at home.
Well, we go even farther than that, and I think you'll appreciate
behaviors
this.
start 100%. At home.
Yeah, we go farther than that. So TV time is limited. So rarely does he get TV during the week. So he might get, if he does get TV, then he'll get, there's a show, it's called Salamander Yoga.
Okay, yeah, I've seen,
and he actually does the poses, and the yoga, and the songs. So one of the things that we had him watching, that we stopped him watching, was Mickey Mouse Funhouse. Yeah. And it was because it's great programming, like it's fun to watch, but it's got that repetitive
Mickey Mouse, Muscatul.
So what we were seeing is that in other shows, we were seeing his behavior completely switch. So we're talking about a kid that has limited downtime at all, or limited screen time at all. Yep. So then when he would watch that, the way that he would listen, the way that his brain would function, all of the things that he would do after he watched that, like I'm not talking about right after, I'm talking about half a day later. Yeah. So throughout the entire day, he just couldn't control him. He was out of control. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have, autism. He doesn't have anything. He's not been diagnosed with anything. He's just, a little boy. Yep. And, but
it's just that screen time.
Yep, we've noticed that. So we are very cautious on what we let him watch. We let him watch movies like Mulan and things like that. He loves them. And then if he does, like for instance, if he comes in here on a Saturday with us, with me, while his mom's doing something, I have to put him in here and he watches the TV here in the studio. Yeah. Now, he watches one of those shows. However, it's like a 2-hour. Yeah. Thing, you know what I mean? So then all of a sudden I have to kind of like wean him down and get him stimulated and get him moving and take him outside and get him through all the things that kind of like get this shit out of his system because he's off the hook, man.
But it's not something that he's able to choose. It's something that you've already 100%. Chose, 2-hour time, that's it, and that's 100%. All. And even, you said like the old movies like Mulan, watching some of like the old cartoons that I used to watch, compared to like the new cartoons, like you just mentioned, like the Mickey Mouse, it is way more overstimulating. 100%. All the colors are 10 times brighter. Yep. My dad always liked Tom and Jerry, and I still love Tom and Jerry because of the simplicity. Neither of them talk, but the cat is forever chasing the mouse. And do you get the story?
Sorry to cut you off, but do you think it's funny how in those shows you had a gun and a gun would shoot a person.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh no, don't show that. And now you have more gun violence than we ever had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now we're trying to censor gun violence,
That is true. Yeah. I feel like with that, kids should be exposed, but it's supervised, like super exposed supervision. You know 100%. What I mean? Just teach them the safeties, et cetera, et cetera. Like, this is a weapon, just teach them all. But back to like the TV, everything starts at home. And the fact that you said, for us, it's ABC, antecedent, behavior, consequence. What sets them off beforehand? So like the antecedent, what precedes the behavior, then what comes from that behavior. So your antecedent is him watching that Mickey Mouse. The behavior is him acting out that day before, and the consequences of like whatever, you reprimanding him taking away something. But you've seen those changes in just like one episode of Mickey Mouse. Yep. Imagine repetitive over and over and over. And a lot of kids, it's for parents, it's like, oh, the kids are bothering, put an iPad in front of them. Yep. So they just like sit down and shut up. Yep. That is true, but what are they actually sitting down and like shutting up and watching?
Well, that's funny you say that, because my grandkids are 5 and they come over and they bring their tablets, and I had a little, mix up with my daughter. She's like, why can't my son that I pay for bring his tablet? You know what I mean? My daughter's a little black woman. She's mad. She's mad. Big black, she's mad. She's always like, why? And I'm like, Gaza, relax. You know what I mean? But yeah, so she's like, and I'm like, hey, we have a rule. No kids have screens.
Yep.
Because your son might be okay with it, right? Yeah. Which technically he's not, but that's for her to figure out and me to just kind of guide into that. And technically he might be okay with it. Well, my son's over here wanting to look at that screen. My son's over here, you know what I mean, distracted. They're not engaged. Yeah. So, well, he's not going to feel comfortable. I said, I promise you, give him a week, he will be okay.
He will adapt.
Yeah, so he'll adapt quickly.
The kids will learn.
Yeah, and then here's the other side of it, that now this causes for us to be more interactive with our kids.
Yeah, and that is an issue, especially like single mom. You have to cook, you have to do laundry. You're not able to sit down and like actually play with your kids all the time. I get it. No, but
I would have to push back on that a little bit. I think that's how
to a certain age, I feel like.
Well, I think that's how a single mom has been conditioned.
Okay.
I of course, shout out to all my single mothers. Of course they have a lot going on, right? But if you look at a lot of single moms as what's the word called? I cannot think today at all. If you look at a lot of their downtime and what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
It does involve a lot of screen times. It does involve, and I'm not shitting on single moms. I'm not saying, again, this goes back to how a lot of the single moms right now are late millennials and Gen Zers. So this goes back to how they've been conditioned. Here's a fun fact. You know why the Gen Zers are cooked? Because of us, motherfucker. I'm the millennial that, you know what I mean? And our parents, I did it with my kid. Well, my mother, I hope my mom hears this episode. Mom, if you're listening, stop letting Tyrion watch the fucking Mickey Mouse Funhouse, okay? You heard it from an expert. 2, you were the reason why you gave them damn girls that phone. I told you not to give them girls that phone. But she didn't know either. My mom was just giving her a phone because everybody had it. They were like 9 and 10 years old. And I didn't want him to have a phone. And then as we progressed, we just kind of gave him the phone, gave him the tablet. Yep. We let them watch the TV. It was all just the kind of thing that you did. And again, you are onto something. I think something shifted in COVID where, now it all completely went digital and everything went that route. But it was our fault. It was my generation's fault who stuck all these fucking phones in front of these kids. And now we're like, oh, these kids nowadays, Yeah. I think it's the wrong thing. But it's I'm so glad you brought this up because, one, I had a whole bunch of other things I wanted to talk about. We'll get to, but that is so important for parents and for people to hear. And I think that if we started looking at our habits as parents first, of like, okay, how much screen time do I have? I've been really, really conscious of trying to keep my phone in my pocket or away from me when I'm with my family. You know what I mean? And I read this book. I think I have it somewhere, Anxious Generation.
Oh, yeah, you told me.
Yeah, it's a great book. I think it's right here. It's a great book. And it kind of breaks down all the things you're saying plus about just, what's going on with these screen times. And it's not just the phone. It's the smartphone. It's screen times. It's not just social media apps. It's video games. It's TV programming. It's all the above, man. And it puts a strain on people like you that are in the school system with these children. Yeah. Trying to make it happen.
And I feel like you've sent this too. Like, it's also like we're comfortable.
Yeah.
We get home, right, from 9 to 5, right? You don't want nobody to bother you. I unfortunately do this too. And my cat has unfortunately become trained that like when I come home and I just want to unwind, I scroll on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
She legitimately, if I'm laying on my floor, because like it's just a comfy spot for me, I just like laying on my floor.
Me too. I'm saying
she comes up.
Is it carpet?
It's carpet. Yeah.
Yes.
She comes up. I'm Asian squatting on the floor, laying on the floor.
I can't do this hardwood shit,
Yeah,
man. My wife wants to do hardwood. I'm like, no.
No, yeah, I can't.
I grew up on
I need
carpet.
it for my joints.
Yes.
But like immediately she nudges the phone out of my hand.
Yeah.
Like she will come up and nudge the phone out of my hand. And for her, it's like, okay, like her mom's been out all day. All she wants is like a 15-minute like little play session attention.
Yep.
And here she is. My attention is on this little screen and she's nudging the phone out of my hand. When she does that, I feel so terrible because like I've been gone for 8 days or like 8 hours. She hasn't seen me. All she wants is 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like her brain is like a size of a peanut. She's a 3-year-old right now. Like all she wants is 20 minutes of attention.
Yep.
And here I am just endlessly scrolling because it's comfortable.
Yep.
Also, same thing with like
and because you're addicted.
Yep. And
Like, we're all addicted.
It's safe.
Yeah.
It's safe. I don't have to answer to nobody. If I don't like a video, I can scroll to the next one, find one I like, immerse myself in that environment, and that's it. It's safe. We're comfortable. We don't have to interact with any extra variables. I feel like we like that.
Yeah.
No, we don't like stuff that makes us uncomfortable. But unfortunately, pressure is how we make diamonds, and that is that we have to force ourselves to make us uncomfortable. I feel like that's me coming to class here. Okay, I know I could scroll endlessly, but I'm like, nope, I have a 6 o'clock class. I'm paying for this. Get up, go to class. It's going to make me uncomfortable, but that uncomfortable afterwards is going to feel 10 times better. And I'm like, okay, if I want to scroll, at least I can scroll afterwards, after I've had my shower, after I've had my workout. And I feel like at that point, you have a sense of accomplishment that at least you've done something 100%. Instead of the endlessly scrolling
100%
and all
agree.
that. So
100% agree. You know, 2 things, man. You are a natural at this. I just want you to say. So, you know what I mean? Like, you're very good at
conversation wise, I feel like, we can just,
I mean, well, just behind the camera, because a lot of people kind of look for that right conversation, that right thing to say, and you're just flowing. So just props to you. Maybe you need your own podcast. You know what I mean?
Who knows, but
I want to switch gears because that was, we could go on for this, and this was gold, man. I'm glad you brought this up and started talking about your background, because you know, I didn't even have an idea going that route, and I think we've got a lot out that people needed to hear. I wanted to talk about another thing that I would love for people to hear, and your family's from Pakistan, correct?
Yes.
Yep. And you're a Muslim female, correct?
Yes.
I personally think, right, that what we are being told and sold right now is 2 truths at the same time, right? I think that there is a version of Sharia law that is trying to, you know, take over and trying to infiltrate, right, personally. Okay. And I think that is the other side of truth to that is, I think that's a intensified, concentrated area. Like, because I talked to one of my friends and he's like, yeah, you know, that stuff really does go on. But if you look at the neighborhoods of some of these countries, it's like a little country, it's a little spot. It's a little spot.
Yeah.
Now they're making big waves with some of the things that they're hitting the news, and you know, death to infidels and all that. But I think that you have 2 of those truths at the same time, and then I don't think that the Muslim people are being represented correctly right now because of the fear. You know what I'm saying? Branden,
I know you love books, so like the first. I implore you to read the Quran yourself. Like you mentioned, those small spots, majority of those small spots, if you speak to like the partakers in like the death to infidels, majority of those individuals can't read for themselves. And at that point, it's only one individual who can read, correct, who is choosing certain parts. Same thing goes for like the Bible. Same thing, same Quran. You choose certain parts to proclaim, etc.
Sure.
But
there's radicals in all religion.
But they can't read. So they're not able to pick up the Quran and actually see what it says. Read the page where it says, if a man were to kill an innocent person, it's as if he kills all of mankind. They're not able to read those parts where that like one of our 5 pillars is that we have to give zakat. We have to give charity. I forget the exact amount, but I believe it's like 2.5% of our wealth that we have to give. Not just like money that you have in your bank account, all wealth, which includes whatever amount of gold that you have, which includes your wealth, stocks, all of your wealth you have to give into a charity tax. And I feel like some parts we should take into so like, how do you feel about like the Mamdani scene, like the whole Mamdani in New York? How do you feel about that?
Personally,
yeah,
socialism doesn't work.
Okay.
You know what I mean? For me, I've never seen an example of socialism working. My problem with Mamdani is not because that he is Muslim. My problem with Mamdani is because he's not a politician.
Okay.
He's kind of just a, you know, some of his rhetoric that he said before completely goes against what he was trying to campaign on. And you're seeing right now exactly what people had said wasn't working. You can't take from the rich and just give to the poor, right? That doesn't work. So my issue with Mamdani is I don't think that he is I think he's a spoiled brat that was put into politics as, you know, this will be the guy that we'll use and this will be the person. Socialism doesn't work. You know what I mean? It just never has, right? And the Democratic Socialist Party that is, you know, trying to be established, you're actually seeing Democrats, you know, saying, whoa, you know what I mean? This is not a good thing. You know what I mean? And I think that him and I think the AOC and I think the party that's trying to do that, they're doing that because they need in my opinion, they need a counter to affordability, because that's a real issue that if the Republicans don't get correct with that messaging and figure out how to do that, they're going to lose the presidential seat, because they're a lot of it, if you look at the messaging, they're acting as if it doesn't exist. Affordability is a huge issue in our country right now. Look at the amount of rent that we're paying. Look at all the other things. But as far as Mamdani in New York, I mean, all of his stuff's falling apart because he didn't.
Well, what do you think about like the $8 billion in debt that he erased for like New York?
That wasn't his debt. That was a surplus. Yeah. So it looks like on paper that he erased $8 billion, but what he did was he had a surplus and he had also other money that he came in. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know what I mean, gets kind of thrown out there for us that makes it look like these. And again, I'm not picking on Mamdani.
I was going to say Dr. Abdul El Sayed, right? In Michigan now, him, the doctor. I don't know like the full accolades. I'm not reading everything. Sure. So it's like, this is just like whatever's like off of Instagram. But I believe he's also a socialist, no? Out of Michigan?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And I think he's made waves for like the GOP.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to think, right? The thing about the socialist concept that, you know what I mean, that always works is the same thing you said about, you know what I mean, with the people that are using the Quran and parts of the Quran against people who can't read. You're talking to people who are poor, right? You're talking to people who are struggling. And when you talk that language, right, they listen, and that's what gets them out to the ballot, right? And it makes sense. Why should a billionaire have all this money, and why shouldn't a, you know what I mean, person be homeless, right? Or why should a person be homeless, right? But it's the same concept applies, right? If they start extorting the billionaires, right? Then they start extorting the millionaires. Then they start extorting the thousandaires. It just kind of goes down the line. It's an extortion. You know, free market capitalism is a good thing. It's a bad thing when it goes unregulated. And that's the part where, you know, in my opinion, I think the government needs to be left out as much of our lives as possible. You know, and I'm a center right guy, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I communicate with center right, center, and center left. I really struggle with the fars, you know what I mean? They can go either way, they switch, they flip flop and all that. The thing that I think that we need to really understand is there's corruption and deep amount of politics. And, you know, it can be all races, it can be all creeds, it's money. But the thing about that I think we can go on that all day. The thing that I really struggle with right now is I have a lot of Muslim friends like yourself, right? That I know are like good people, like aren't trying to, you know, do harm to children, aren't trying to do harm to other people. You know what I mean? You know, I know that you're very committed and dedicated to your faith. To me, there's no difference in us, right? Yeah. You believe in your book, in your word, I believe in my word, and we both could sit down and pray together, in my opinion, about something working together. You know what I mean? And
that's what we're supposed to do.
Correct.
We're supposed to come people from other tribes. That's in our Quran.
Yes. I have a hard time with, you know, you having people that say, hey man, these Muslims are taking over and these Muslims and this and Muslims that. It's like, that's not necessarily the case. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
not at all.
Yeah.
And another thing is, I may have not been born in the States, but I fully believe in like the States, like coming over and like the whole like 4th of July, like being a child watching 4th of July, like amazing, like all these fireworks, like the sense of like camaraderie and everything, great. Like we don't celebrate Christmas at all, but I tell you, I can promise you that I know all the lyrics to Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas, the Jingle Bell songs, all the reindeers. I know all of that, but that's just like the environment we grew up on. And like, I don't have no issue with that. Yeah. Like that's fine. Like the forming, like, oh, everybody has to like wear a hijab and all that, to each their own. To
sure,
even like nowadays, like
100%.
We all have our own opinions. I fully believe in that. Like, just let your neighbor live. That's all. Yeah. That's all we want.
I
right?
agree.
That's
And here's the problem though. When people push back and say, well, you know, there's certain things that are being pushed on me, right? Yeah. And again, you can go either side. Like there's certain things that are being pushed on everybody either side. What do you say about the topic? You know what I mean? And what's your opinion, I should say? You know, and I don't want to disclaimer this, right? Shanza's not a religious expert. You know what I mean? Shanza's not a political leader. Shanza's in the community, right? Yep. If there's anybody that is on ground zero, dealing with the people, helping the people, all people, that's you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I have witnessed this, and I'm not putting you on this space. Again, my hope is that somebody sees this and says, holy shit, maybe my opinion about a certain demographic is a little bit skewed. Let me do a little bit more deep dive into research. Let me do a little bit more proactivity, getting out in the neighborhoods and things like that.
That's all I want. Ignorance is literally the lack of knowledge.
100%. And I just want to get, that's the mission of this and stuff like that. And so, but I do want to ask you your opinion on, you know, we see this in other areas, and I'll bring it up in a sec, but what do you say about, like, you know, how we don't hear as much, I think, on the news and in places, we don't hear as much other Muslims calling out some of this, you know, radical Islam, radical Muslims, right? What would your response to say to that? Because that's one of the things that you hear a lot of people saying, well, you know, you see, you know, they're doing this and they're doing that, and everybody just kind of sit back, not saying anything, like, you know what I mean, as far as from the Muslim side. What are your opinions?
I think we have said stuff. Sheikh Omar Suleiman, he's one of the ones that I follow on like YouTube. He spoke out about like radical Islam and stuff. And I know people use like 9/11 as like a big catalyst, which it was a huge catalyst for like the anti-Islam rhetoric and stuff. But over, I want to say, there's not exactly a statistic on it, but over 1,000 Muslim brothers and sisters died in 9/11 too. Wow. That's not, nobody ever mentions that.
Yeah, you're right.
There was numerous Muslim people who were working in the Twin Towers, but that's just never mentioned because it was on American lands and stuff like that, which I agree. But
which, I mean, I think that was an inside job anyway. But
yeah, but like also I feel like just touching on like the whole Israel, like for Israel to bomb a female kids school in Iran, but like there was like the 1 week of news. But if that were to happen in any like Europe or like American country, it would have been like death to like all the countries, death to everybody in the Middle East. Yeah. Like if that were to happen in the States, the whole Middle East would have been bombed just because of like that, which I agree. Like every country has a right to defend itself, but like what happened to like those kids? Just F those kids then, basically, is what like I feel like. Just, and they're still recovering the bodies of the girls from the school, from like the rubble and stuff. So I don't know if I actually answered your question or not, but
you did say that there are people. I think maybe the awareness of, we need to hear more people calling, or we need to hear who are the people calling it out so they can get platform.
Yeah, they are. There's numerous sheikhs. Yeah. There's numerous. Sheikh Omar Suleiman is like one of like the most popular one. He does a really good Ramadan podcast too, which I like to listen to throughout the month of Ramadan itself. But he's really a great one. Like I don't have much other sheikhs like names off my head, but there is rhetoric out there from Muslim leaders calling out terrorists and stuff like that. And like we said, it's the lack of knowledge. If those people who were partaking in these bombings or whatever were able to read the Quran themselves, I'm pretty sure they would not be partaking in those activities because that's not the book of Quran.
Yeah, and they used to do this. They do this a lot in countries that are, you know, lower impoverished and lower educated. What they do is a lot of these terrorist organizations will come through with help from other sources of food, and they'll come in with the barrels of rice and the barrels of food, and then they'll feed the people, getting them bought into, you know, this is what the common person doesn't realize. They'll feed the people, getting them bought into, hey, so you got to think, you know, a family that is starving, you know what I mean, that can't afford anything, is sitting here, looking to eat, looking for anything that they possibly can do. You got this organization coming in saying, here's food. Here, you guys just support us.
Support our message.
It's support us. Yeah.
It's the same exact thing in like the States, like God, like an orphan, right? Who's on the corner?
Well, it's kind of the same of the socialist kind of concept. You know what I mean?
Though, yeah. Like,
to be honest with you,
whoever feeds you, right? Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Of course, whoever feeds you, you're going to join arms right underneath them, right? Because they're the one that's providing you food, shelter, clothing. That's what you need. Those are the basic needs of life.
Absolutely.
So you're going to, of course, raise your arms for whatever they say.
So what message would you like? We heard the Quran. What message would you like for people? And I'm trying to be very careful. I'm trying to be very careful with my words, right? Because, as a matter of fact, here's what I want to say.
Okay.
These fucking idiots that don't understand what the fuck they're talking about. They get on fucking social media or get on these you know what I mean, platforms and try to convince other fucking idiots to believe their message. You know what I mean? That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be careful, but really, you heard it first. What would your message be to people that are like scared right now, that are worried about someone with a jihad on or someone that's brown skin or whatever, that is just completely ignorant to life and to people? What would you tell them to help them kind of open arms a little bit more and understand, like, hey, we're all in the same thing together?
Honestly, the first word that comes to mind is read. Read. Just open your mind and allow yourself to take in other opinions, I feel like that's a huge one, is allowing yourself to be open to. Yeah. Most of the people don't even allow themselves to intake, we're on two opposite sides, me and you. Yeah. Most people won't even have this conversation because it'll lead to arguments. But why can't we just have a conversation for the sake of a conversation? You know what I mean? Why can't we just be normal adults who are on two sides of a coin and just talk about our opinions? And
we both have differences. No one got mad.
That's it. Yeah, at all. If anything, if we're going to relieve it, I'm going to throw on a pair of gloves and I'm going to hit you. But that's after this.
And an MMA gym, by the way.
Yep, exactly. I've signed my waiver, of course. So stuff like that. Yeah. And I feel like I kind of agree with the world leaders too. Can y'all just sign a waiver, go in the ring and box it out? Yeah. Leave us commoners out of your nonsense. That's honestly just read whatever ideas that you're interested in, explore those ideas, read articles, read the actual, find out where the actual source, find a good source, right? Read the Quran, the actual source, read the actual Bible, read the Torah, whatever it is, read the main source, not Wikipedia, not TikTok, not lefts, not rights. Find the source, read it. That's it.
Yeah, well, I'd like to add to that, and none of this would be a problem in the United States if the corruption in the politicians and the big businesses and organizations weren't so bad that they had to lobby for votes. Because here's the thing: is if our immigration policies were upheld and were done correctly, we wouldn't have innocent people that have been hardworking people getting deported, regardless if they broke the law or not. Right? You broke the law coming to this country illegally. Yep. Regardless if that happened or not, if the immigration policies were upheld and we went and lobbied for votes and there wasn't so much corruption, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't have as many terroristic threats and undocumented people. And we wouldn't have so many, we have to bend the knees because of this person, because of that person, because of this group, because of that group. We would have one uniform. And, the United States was built on Christian, Judeo values, right? And I think it needs to stay that way, with the open arms to other cultures, other people, other places, and stuff like that, to give different cultures inside of our multicultural country, right? And the reason why is because that's worked. Yep. You know what I mean? It's worked. We have the longest running. We're one of the youngest countries. Yep. We have the longest running unchanged constitution there is.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and that's the thing. And then you see so many people, you said it yourself, you see so many people that have visited for the World Cup and you see these videos. I love them. They're like, oh my gosh, we've been lied to. America's great.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, all this stuff, right? We have a great country. And I think that if we just had this is what it is, this is what it isn't. Yeah. We started really but really putting laws to hey, you broke the law, you did something heinous, you're going to prison.
The emphasis on that.
Emphasis, yes. Yeah. I think that we wouldn't have to have these conversations, things like that.
Because I feel like it should be simple. I agree, like if you came in illegally, yeah, I do agree and put like that part. And if you broke rules, that's it. That's all. You got to go. Like that's simple anywhere. Like you enter a building, you enter anybody's place of business, you break the rules, you're gone.
100%.
It should be the same exact. Yeah.
And I also think that they should take in consideration that this person, might have come in legally 20 years ago, but they pay taxes. They've never broke the law. They've got, good citizens, good kids that are in family members of citizens. Hey, let's see what we can do for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's find them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's do something different for them because these folks have actually came in because they had to.
Yeah.
Nobody leaves your country.
And I feel like
no one leaves your country because you want to.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what America's like.
Yeah, 100%.
Should consist of, right? Like they busted their butt off. They got their kids in school. They're putting so much back into the community. Is what I feel like America should be.
Yeah, and I do want to emphasize. I agree with you. I do want to emphasize this because a couple of my friends, they're from Jordan, and their whole family, a lot of their families lived in Gaza, and man, they were really, really going through it when the bombings really were, the massacre really was going on. And honestly, I understand Israel's position too. I mean, to a degree, like if you're constantly getting bombed, if Mexico or Canada was constantly throwing bombs our way, and we've tried so many different ways, now let me be said, I don't agree with all of what Israel does, but this idea I do. Then we're flattening everything, right? You know what I mean? Especially like if, we're after a certain group now. Do we destroy families and innocent people? Fuck no, dude. And that's why, like, it's so hard because, could we put boots on the ground instead of just bombing the shit out of them?
I agree to like an extent that like every country has a right to defend itself. But for like Israel to say that like, oh, we have like one of the top militaries and so, why can't you do what we did when we took out Osama bin Laden? But isn't that like you guys got what you wanted? No, you guys took out Iran's supreme leader, right? They took out Hamas's leader, right? They took out Hezbollah's leader, right? But then what really you guys your agenda has been completed, but what really did you guys win? Yeah. As far as I know, Iran, the Strait of Hormuz is still open. They're making millions because they're sending oil to China and Russia, right? And they're taxing $2 million on every ship that comes through. Well,
they haven't gotten that far anymore. The New Deal is different than that. But you're not wrong about where you're at. They're still. It's so complicated. And here's the thing: is I don't want American troops going anywhere.
Yeah,
I want We've been in enough wars for too long. I want American troops to be.
Also, I feel home. Like Trump himself said before even office that sending troops and money to the Middle East is stupid, that we should keep that money in the States, which this is a quote he himself said. So like when him coming into office, which of course is different once you realize everything behind the scenes, like the presidential talk and everything, of course. But I do feel like there's no reason that we should be in this one.
Yeah, well, I do know, I believe that we need to finish Iran and get that done.
But what exactly is finishing them? Because
we need a regime change. We need a regime change.
So you took out the supreme leader, right?
Yeah.
The U.S. took out the supreme leader.
We took like 30 of them out.
Exactly. And then the regime change was his son. And from what I heard, he's worse.
Correct. No, that's not a regime change. That's just a replacement.
Yeah, that's just a replacement.
Yeah.
So when you guys want the regime, or like America wants the regime change,
well,
right?
Here's why. Because I have friends that are from Persia, which is Iran, and they talk about the atrocities that regime does.
Yeah, which I'm fully aware of, and that I feel like that's also could be said of like every country.
Well, it can, but Iran. It has been proven that Iran is the backer of most of the terrorism, and all of the Gulf countries are like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, dude, like you see Iran attacking, all of you're attacking, UAE, you're attacking Saudi Arabia, attacking their areas. So. These are complicated questions that are probably above my pay grade, and I don't think it's two dimensional like we try to make it. I do think that we'll say this. My friends were certainly hurt by what happened in Gaza, and they definitely said that there's a lot more to it. And one thing that he told me, and I said this just a few minutes ago, is like they're isolating huge things that are happening from little teeny regions out there. And yes, those regions are infiltrating, maybe Britain and stuff like that. And there's bad things that are happening. I think you just got to get a hold on it, man. You got Here, no one wants to call it out because no one wants to be called Islamophobe. No one wants to be called homophobe. No one wants to be called transphobe. No one wants to be called racist. Anti-Semitic. Everybody's scared of these fucking titles, right? Meanwhile, it all is going down.
Yeah.
Like we are fucking
You're damned
living.
if you don't say something. You're damned if you do say something.
We are living on the movie Idiocracy, and it's always well. Listen, Shanza, I want to say this. This fucking conversation went by so fast, right? Dude, you're one of my favorite people, man. I really love you, and I think that you have such a unique perspective on the world, and I love the fact that you are strong and stern about your values, your beliefs, the things you work hard for, the things you believe in, but you're also flexible and you're willing to listen. And I really, really think, and I'm not saying this because you're on the show. I'm not saying this because you pay me money to be in my gym. I'm telling you this based upon our experience together. I really think you're destined to do some great things. You know what I mean? Because whatever you're doing now, I think is only the beginning of what's going to happen later on. And, I just would warn you that when you go and do some great things, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. And, the mob will come after you. The people will come out. People will do that. And you've always got me in your corner to have your back on whatever I can do. You know what I mean? If we got to go fight them physically or if you just need me to show them to cry. But I really want you to know that since I've known you, I've recognized your grit, your work ethic, your heart, the way that you do things. And I'm very impressed. I think the world is better with you.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
That means
man.
a lot.
Absolutely.
My heart, Branden. My heart.
I know you're not selling anything, but we always give an opportunity for your plugs. So I don't know if you wanted to tell anybody to follow you, if you want to tell anybody to follow something, if you maybe something you're working for, maybe a cause, you could go ahead and talk about any of that right now.
So I work for an ABA company. Applied. It's called Big Dreamers ABA. I have received a promotion, so I do plan on promoting like events. So if you know of anybody who's in like the autism field, kids with autism, anything like that, just watch out. I plan on having some more events. The next one will be an event at Bill Dinker's Pickleball. I don't have a date confirmed, but hope to see you guys there. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Awesome. Where could they find a website or anything like that? Instagram handles were.
Instagram is @Shanza. It should be a picture of me, and then just he'll tag me on my Facebook too. So just hit me. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we could be partnered in your futures.
Yep, of course,
to kind of get something to SPY so they can hear more about
That'll work.
So thank you so much for being on the show, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, listen, I know you guys got value out of that. And, whether you agree or disagree, I know that you know somebody who needs to hear this. Again, our mission was to educate and inform, not to alienate and keep the hate going. But if you got value out of this, if you know anybody who did, please share this episode with them. I know that you're going to share it already, but give them the opportunity to hear something they've never heard before. And please hit the like and subscribe button. You know what I mean? We've got about 1,000 views on our videos. We got about 350 subscribers. So we need to up those subscriptions just so that we can get recognized in the algorithm. And if you're feeling ever so generous, you're never so kind, please hit a review or in Apple and Spotify or hit a comment. We love to hear them. Until next time, guys, what are you doing today to become a champion?